All right, good evening, everyone. Sorry for the delay. It's a few minutes after 6. It is February the 11th. This is the February regular meeting of the Town of Spencer Board of Aldermen. We are called to order. We have a few board members missing tonight. We keep them in our thoughts and prayers because we have a few folks that are dealing with illness and other work obligations tonight. But we do have a quorum with 4 members here. And we'll begin with an invocation. And I will ask the Mayor Pro Tem to give that invocation.
Please bow your head. We thank you, Father, for a chance to be together this evening as we, in a spirit of collaboration and cooperation for the betterment of Spencer, our town. Help us as board members, town employees, volunteers, and citizens to keep Spencer on solid ground throughout this year. We thank thee for all our blessings, and a special thank you for our Mayor Jonathan Williams as he celebrates his birthday today. We are blessed to have him at the helm and blessed to have you as our pilot, steering us in the right direction. Amen.
Amen. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Board, you have before you your agenda for this evening. Is there any need to make any additions or deletions to tonight's agenda? And if not, we'll take a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make the motion that we adopt the agenda as is.
All right, the motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Ms. Moody. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And the agenda is approved unanimously. And we will now move to our recognitions. Our first recognition, we're glad to see folks with us this evening. I'd like to give a special recognition to Mrs. Dion Dixon, our local celebrity, who was recently on Wheel of Fortune. And I believe Peter has a video he'd like to share.
Yes, I could just wave my hands and it'll magically
appear.
All right. I think Mike will get it queued up.
Ladies and gentlemen, here are the stars of our show, Ryan Seacrest and Vanna White.
And Dion Dixon from Spencer, North Carolina.
Yes.
Welcome. You come from a military family. Tell me about your family.
Yes, my mom, myself, and my daughter, we are all Army veterans.
Amazing. Thank you for your service. Also, a fun fact, you have football coach on your resume.
Yes, I do. So, back in 1985, when I graduated high school, one of my friends, her brother, was a football coach of the Long Beach Poly Cowboys. I know football. He let me be the assistant coach, and Snoop Dogg was on the team.
How was the team? Were they good?
When I left, we were 11-0.
Okay, well, that's good, yeah.
Yeah, that was a long time ago.
And what's Snoop Dogg really like?
You know what? When he was really quiet and laid back.
Laid back.
Yeah, he was really laid back. So over the years, I've watched his character. He's still the same.
Well, it's great to have you. Good luck tonight. Second toss-up worth $2,000. Go ahead and grab. Next puzzle is one of our new categories. It's all aboard. So the answer will be a thing or phrase related to nautical themes. All right? Dion, you'll start us off with the first spin here. Right. Good luck. Oh, looky there.
Ooh. And.
Yes, there are 2 N's.
Oh, wait.
Deanna, no, it's $2,000 for those N's. Would you like the $2,000, or do you want to risk it and see if there's 10 grand or a bankrupt? What do you think? Now you can go for it.
You only live once. Let's risk it.
And a slow reveal here.
Oh!
Yeah. I like your dramatic style. Very nice, Dion. Get there. Yes, 700.
S.
Sure, there are 2 S's.
I like the bow.
Tell me. We can give you one. $600.
T.
Sure, there's one T.
I like to buy a vowel.
Okay.
E.
Well, the 3 E's for $250.
I like to buy a vowel. A.
And there are a pair of A's up there as well. Yeah, $12.50, Leon. $600.
H.
Yeah, there are 3 H's.
I like to buy an O, please.
And there are 2 O's. No more vowels available. $8.50.
G.
There is a G. Yeah, there. 900.
M.
Yes, there is one M. $500.
C.
There's a C. Now, Dion, you've got $5,050 and a big smile on your face.
I'll solve it.
Okay.
Romance on the high C.
That's what we're looking for. Hold up that $10,000 ledge.
Very good.
Way to go. And someone at home could win $10,000 second. And a big night for you, $15,050.
I'll take it.
Dion, it's great to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thanks for coming. Well, pal,
Well, I'll tell you, you made quick work of the puzzle. How fitting that that puzzle was on Valentine's Day week, right? Yes, great. But we're thrilled that you had the opportunity to do that. Thank you for representing Spencer so well. We're glad that you're here. We understand you've been here a few years, but we're glad that your family's chosen to make Spencer your home. So, congratulations.
Thank you.
And thanks for being here tonight.
And Mayor, if I may,
Yeah.
I had the chance to meet Mrs. Dixon a few weeks back. She happened to be here for another purpose and was talking with Susan in our police department and said, "Hey, you got to meet this person that was on Wheel of Fortune." I said, I just saw that last week. So I knew exactly what was going to happen. But when I was watching the show at home, I thought to myself, well, this must have been somebody that maybe grew up here and wound up in California, but quite the opposite. A fairly new resident here in town, but if it's okay, she might like to say a few words.
Absolutely.
And share her experience with us.
Sure. What do I say?
Right there.
Right here.
Yep. So everybody can hear you.
So I am so thrilled that you guys have me here on tonight. Growing up, I never wanted to live in Rowan County. This is facts. Growing up, I don't want to live in Rowan County. And then the opportunity came for 505 West Newton Street. If I'm not mistaken.
Yes, ma'am, you're correct.
Yes.
It's my wife's grandmother's old house. Yes.
Yes, exactly. And I cannot tell you how thrilled I am to be living here. I love it. I'm so glad I was able to represent Spencer. I could have told them Salisbury, but I intentionally said Spencer. And by the way, I didn't go through that puzzle that fast. They added a lot. So what happened, I missed a letter, and it went to Barbie. She missed. It went to Kurt. Whatever his name was, he won. I don't care what his name was. He missed the letter, and then it got back to me.
Okay.
And I finished the puzzle. But they put two 50-some-year-old with a 33-year-old. They didn't expect us to win. But I'm just so glad that I was able to bring attention to this town that I absolutely love now. And I'm so thrilled to be a citizen here. And if you need me in any way, I work for the Department of Veteran Affairs and the regional office. So I help our veterans as a veteran. So if you need me in any capacity, myself and my family, we are here for you.
Well, thank you, and thanks for your service too.
Thank you.
All right, Mayor Pro Tem, I believe you have a few recognitions as well.
And what a wonderful way to start our meeting. And I do watch Wheel of Fortune almost every night. And I try to emphasize to my grandson, who's 15, now if you read a lot, you'll know how to fill in these words. I said, so this is one reason you need to amp it up, buddy. But anyway, but congratulations to you. I'm very happy for you. It's a pleasure to meet you. I have the distinct pleasure tonight of announcing 2 of our second quarter students of the year. Our first one is from North Rowan Elementary School, and I've already met her. I went to her school on awards day. We didn't have the plaques yet because the trophy house had been closed for several weeks. But I promised her I was going to get her a plaque, and I do have it for her this evening. So I'm going to introduce, in fact, I think I will come to the front because I think all of you will probably be able to hear me, and if not, I'll use that mic. But I can put on my school teacher voice. And Mayor Williams, I'm going to have you come
we'll be
up
happy
here too. We are so glad that she and her family could be here this evening, and we will be announcing these students at our meeting. Can everyone hear me? Okay. Oh, thank you. I didn't even think about that. That's why you're mayor and I'm mayor pro tem. Okay, I'm going to tell you a little bit about our young lady first. She's a 3rd grader at North Rowan Elementary School, and her name is Luz Rangel, Membrana. I'm trying. I'm going to learn Spanish before I die. She is sweet. She's nominated because she's sweet and always wanting to help everyone she is around. This is what her school said about her. She tends to fly under the radar because she is so quiet, but she stands out because of her heart of gold. She doesn't strive for attention or seek validation. Her intentions are simply pure and genuine. So we are very, very happy to award her with this plaque, and you can bring your family up here. And if you want to, we can take a picture. And I'm going to let the mayor present it to you. This is Mayor Williams. Congratulations, and you keep doing all those wonderful things. Okay, let me know if your name is misspelled because I will take it back and get it redone. Okay, so y'all can look at it and let me know. Because I'm afraid of it.
All right, thank y'all.
I don't think the family of our next student of the quarter is here, and I don't believe he's here either, so I'll show you his plaque. This student is from North Rowan High School, and he's not here tonight because he is currently enrolled at Rowan Cabarrus and taking college classes also. His name is Christopher Ugarte Sanchez, and he is our student of the quarter, second quarter from North Rowan High School. He was nominated by Mrs. Dickerson, his English teacher, and the school states that he is consistently demonstrates dedication, leadership, and a genuine passion for learning. He excels academically, actively contributes in class and with his peers, and aligns whatever he learns in the classroom with his career goals. For example, he did the most engaging and interesting presentation on artificial intelligence and blue-collar workers, and even had his peers asking questions. And if you can get high school students interested in something like that in class, he's did a remarkable job. So this will be given to him. I will be taking it over to North Rowan High School for presentation. And finally, I want to recognize our swim team from North Rowan High School that just finished up their season, and they improve every year, and they're getting more students out for swimming. One student, Rylan Furr, a sophomore, did qualify for regionals, and he also got all conference and all county. And I had to mention that because he's my grandson. So that made me very happy. And finally, tonight, once you leave the meeting, if you have time, go over to the high school because they are recognizing the senior basketball players and cheerleaders and winter sports people tonight at the game with Lexington. Keep supporting the Cavaliers because they need participation from the community and support. They're trying to buy new uniforms, which are badly needed. So if you're interested in helping out, you can get in touch with me and I'll direct you to who you need to talk to. Thank you very much for everything you do for Spencer.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. All right, we have one final recognition this evening. I'd like to invite Police Chief Biled forward. Good evening.
I told Peter a few weeks ago that I wanted to try to make it a habit of introducing our new officers. Again, when we went through our rebuilding process, we're bringing so many different faces on that I think we got away from this. We wanted to break that negative trend and go back to what we used to do. So tonight I've got Officer James Nutt. He comes to us from Lexington PD. He just finished his abbreviated field training since he was a lateral officer. He didn't have to do the full 12 weeks with us. So he is fully released on the road working by himself now. So I wanted to bring him up here and let him come up and introduce himself and meet each of you real quick. We're very fortunate to have him. He's got 4 youngins at the house. So I know how much work it takes to have 2. So I think he's probably well suited to deal with the public in times of trouble. But I will let him just step up here and briefly introduce himself. He's got a raspy voice tonight. So.
Yeah, so like Chief said, lateral in from Lexington. Look forward. It's good to see what the town's building. So I think Chief and Lieutenant have done building a good program here. So I'm glad to be a part of it.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. Welcome
Glad to
aboard,
have you here.
and thanks for picking Spencer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, board.
Mayor, before we
Yes.
go into business, I need to do one other quick recognition.
Uh-oh.
As I mentioned in our prayer, today is our mayor's birthday. So I think while we're all here, we need to sing happy birthday. And I'm going to present him with this card that the staff and board members have signed. And just tell him again how blessed we feel to have him here. Now, I'm not a good singer, so I don't know if anybody else can lead this. Aaron, sing.
Go ahead.
Well, we'll just Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jonathan. Happy birthday to you.
Thank y'all. It's, I've reached that point in my life. I'm just happy I have birthdays. So.
I know how you feel.
We know how exciting it is to celebrate your 21st.
Yeah, and then a few. Well, thank you all very much. All right, we will get into business now. Enough of that. We'll move to public comment. We do not have anyone signed up this evening, so we will move on to our consent agenda this evening. And with that, you have a number of items on your consent agenda. Board, is there any reason to pull any items for further consideration? If not, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
Okay, so motion by Mr. Miller. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that is approved unanimously. The next item is item 8 on our agenda, which is to consider adopting budget ordinance 24-10.013 to accept a $50,000 North Carolina Railroad Company Economic Development Micro Grant. And Peter, are you going to take this one?
I can start off, and,
Okay.
and Steve Blunt may come in and clean up for me. But we did receive this grant to do due diligence work related to the industrial property available in the former finishing company site, and so it was actually a process that we found out through the staff at the Rowan EDC introduced us to the North Carolina Railroad Company, which is it's an interesting organization. They are a private corporation whose sole shareholder is the state of North Carolina, and they operate a rail corridor that goes between Charlotte and Morehead City. Roughly, it's about 300 miles, and so they're interested in economic development as it relates to generating rail business along that corridor and have this grant program available. So at this point, Steve, if there's anything you'd like to add into that, invite you to do so.
Not much. You've covered all the bases. This was probably the easiest grant we've ever applied for, so I'm glad to take credit. Joe usually has to work for months and months to get these things done. I sent in one form and answered one email, and they gave us the grants.
Good.
Good for them. This will be used primarily for the brownfield agreement studies that have to be done before the project can kick off. Central Carolina Council of Governments is working with us to do the phase 1 and phase 2 analysis, and then this money will be going towards some of the other costs that are involved in that process. So it was good to hear this. Money was available. Good that they were so supportive of us, and we look forward to applying for more from them because they have some bigger grants when you dedicate sites to be rail served. And we have a railroad track running right past the site, so we will probably have several of those. We'll be back to report more in the future.
Good.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, are there any questions about this grant? If not, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
There's a motion by Mayor Pro Tem. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Moody. All in favor? All right. All opposed? All right, and that is accepted unanimously. The next item is to consider adopting ordinance 25-03 to create a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Board, as you know, we have invested a lot of time in getting grants. Joe has spent the last couple of years really helping our town to build out a Parks and Recreation master plan and then actually building the facilities for that plan. And so we have reached the point with all of the amenities that we have here in town that it is time to look to move forward with a Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. Doing that at the same time, as you recall in our budget, we have in the fourth quarter of this year, we've budgeted to bring on a active living coordinator to help with our Parks and Recreation and programming. And that person would work very closely with this board. So Joe, I'll let you talk to the board a little bit more and present the item.
Good evening, Mayor. I really don't have anything to add to that. We've had a couple of presentations on this concept of the creation of Parks and Recreation Advisory Board. We had a public hearing last week. We had two Spencer residents speak in favor of moving forward with this initiative. I have provided Anna has provided in the board's packet ordinance 25-03 for your consideration, and the staff offers that for your potential approval. So I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thank you. Board, are there any questions? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance 25-03?
So moved.
All right, there's a motion by Ms. Moody. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Miller. All in favor? All right, all opposed? That's approved unanimously. Thank you, Joe. And next will be for us to consider adopting ordinance 25-04 for a traffic control plan text amendment. Mr. Blunt.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is really a technical correction to our development ordinance, as I explained to you on Thursday. In one chapter, it requires the developers to provide signage for traffic control. But in Chapter 7, which gives a bullet point list of things to be included in their submittals, there is no mention of a traffic control plan. And before you can determine where the signs go, you have to have a plan. So this is merely a correction to chapter or Article 7 to add that language so that a plan will be created in the future.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, any questions on this ordinance? All right, hearing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance 25-04?
Make a motion, we approve this ordinance.
All right, is the motion by Mr. Miller? Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that's approved unanimously. Next item, consider adopting ordinance 25-05 for Chapter 93 penalty text amendment.
Again, this is a text amendment to create clearer understanding of the penalty phase in Chapter 93, where our nuisance ordinances are held. At the end of the chapter 93.99, that there is a penalty paragraph, and what it says is that violations of Chapter 93 ordinances will be handled with misdemeanors, criminal misdemeanors. Our code enforcement officer has asked that we allow him to use civil fees instead of the criminal misdemeanor. He feels it's more coercive to the residents that they might have to pay $50, in some cases $50 a day until things are taken care of. So he has asked that we get language in the ordinance that allowed him to do that. Chapter 35 or Article 35, actually, if you read in the fine print and the detail, you can find a way to construe the fact that it does apply to Chapter 93. But to make things clearer and to prevent some tricky lawyer like Jay to argue that it's not covered, we're asking that you approve this text amendment in Ordinance 2505, which would add the option of using the civil fines.
Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, any questions on that? No. Okay, hearing none, is there a motion to approve ordinance 25-05?
So moved.
All right, motion by Ms. Moody. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor? All right, all opposed? And that is approved unanimously. And the next item, this is the Steve Blunt show tonight.
I hadn't been doing my job lately, so.
All right, the next item is we're going to receive a presentation on the 3rd Street addressing issue.
This came about when I was applying an address to a property, new property created by a subdivision, and Rowan County's GIS folks pointed out to me that there were a number of other addresses in this area that were incorrect, and that they had wanted to get it fixed in the past and saw this as an opportunity to do that. So I asked them to send me a list of what needed to be changed, and we would consider it. So that you and the public will understand why we're doing this, we know that it's an inconvenience to change your address, but the reason that they have addresses in certain orders is not so it'll be nice and pretty or make some planner happy, but so that a fire truck or a police department or an ambulance can find your home, usually on a dark night when it's raining. And that's why we try to have a predictable pattern so that when they see one number, they can predict what the next number is going to be or what the number across the street will be. For your viewing pleasure, we created this little presentation. This shows you where the numbers can be found. That one's over the mailbox in pretty good sized letters. It makes good sense, and I wish they were all like this. This one's over the door. That's not too bad, but it's real small and you can't see it very well. This one's on the side of the post for the mailbox, and if you drove up to that house, you couldn't see it. You can't see it right now in that picture. This one's on a tree. It took me a little while to figure out where this one was, but it's on a tree down the gravel driveway that leads to the house in the background. Ours is over the door. Again, I think it's a good place to put it. If I had the authority, I would ask the post office to make everybody put them there. But I discovered, when I looked at this picture, that the post office doesn't have their number listed.
Wonder why.
So apparently they don't get any packages delivered to their address. But this is what a fire truck or a police department or an ambulance sees when they come at night. That's the same slide from the first slide that had that pretty number that you could see, and you just can't see it in the dark. So the Rowan County GIS system and the EMS system that works off of that has a set of rules that they try to follow, and it's basically based on sequential numbering. Obviously, that's a simple one. They try to do odd on one side of the street and even on the other side of the street. They break up the blocks by the primary number, 100, 200, 300, 400, etc. And then they leave gaps in the addressing, especially on big lots, assuming that they might be subdivided in the future, so that they can maintain that sequence as it goes along. And if you follow those rules, this is sort of what you would see. You would see the 1005 across from 1006, and then as it changed to the next block, it would be the 1100 block and the 1200 block, 1300 block, etc. Even on one side, out on the other, sequential from one end to the other. This is what they sent me, a map and a spreadsheet for 22 properties that they thought needed to be readdressed. And because that was so hard to see, I went back to that same block pattern and sort of filled in similar numbers to what they were showing me. And as you can see, starting at the bottom, the 1,000 blocks across the street from the 900 block, which doesn't make any sense. The 1,000 block changes to the 1,100 block and then goes back to the 1,000 block as it proceeds down that road. About the only thing they got right was odd on one side and even on the other. Other than that, everything's incorrect. So they are asking us to make these changes. The reason I bring it to you before we actually do anything is that I understand that when this inconvenience is explained to these 22 property owners, they're probably not going to call me, they're going to call you, and they're going to fuss about why this is happening. We will go through a process. We've learned from experience when we've done this before. If you work with the post office ahead of time, they help the residents make the changes fairly easily as far as those things that are mailed to them. There's a change of address form. You can go online, make the change, and they take care of everything else. Unfortunately, that doesn't help the people that deliver packages. And that's what takes a little time to get straightened out because they depend on things like Google Maps to find these addresses. And sometimes they don't even look at the number on the mailbox or on the house. They just drive to where their computer tells them to go, and that's where they drop the package. So usually it takes the property owner or the computer owner of the property to make a contact with Google Maps to let them know that their address is incorrect in their mapping program, and they will change it. It's a little bit of trouble to do, but not that bad. We will contact Rowan County to get the GIS system updated. We also send notice to Duke Energy, Piedmont Natural Gas, a few others that send out a lot of billings to let them know these changes have been made. And usually it just takes a couple months of maybe having something sent to the wrong address or the post office calling and saying, what's your address? After a few months, the pain's over. But we don't think any of that short-time pain is worth the risk of an ambulance not being able to find you when you make that call. So all I wanted to do is bring this to you, answer any questions you might have about the process. We're getting ready to start. And as it gets moving, I'll be coming back to you for official approval to make the change.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Blunt. Board, any questions on this?
Who determines what number goes where? I mean, who does that?
Within the municipal limits, I do.
Okay.
In the ETJ, supposedly Rowan County does. But we usually issue addresses. Most property before it's developed is listed as 0 something, 0 Second Street.
Wow.
So when they come to get a zoning permit, that's the opportunity for me to apply an address to it. So what I do is if it's inside the municipal limits, I pick the address and I use their rules and regulations to try to pick the right address. At the same time, I have learned, and I'll go on to say, if it's in the ETJ, I call or text the GIS operative at Rowan County to make sure he agrees with the address that I'm suggesting in the ETJ. I have learned to do the same thing for even inside the municipal limits to let them know ahead of time, get their blessing just because of this. There's lots more of these places in the town of Spencer, really all over, that have incorrect addressing that has been created over time. Anytime we have a chance to fix it, we'll try to do that.
Okay.
And you'll probably get some other phone calls. This may stir others. It did at the planning board meeting. There will continue to be inconsistencies on addressing as far as whether you think you live in Spencer or you're listed as living in Salisbury, as far as the post office goes. And I can't do a thing about that. Post office gets to make those decisions.
2 questions. Is there a way that the town can intervene with, say, Google and the other map providers to at least alert them to these changes?
There may be. I've never tried to do it from an official point of view, but they are sensitive to me getting mad at my neighbor and calling up Google Maps and say, hey, his address is 2007th Street. So they're reluctant to let just anybody. You have to prove that you either have authority to do it or that.
But we have the documentation because we're initiating this. And I think
whether
it'd be
they
helpful
recognize
to the
my authority
residents.
or not would be the question.
Right,
So
right.
I'll have to check on that.
I think it'd be good for us to at least try to help the neighbors out. The other question I have then too is, you know, it is a little bit of an inconvenience, but you know, it's not insurmountable by folks. The one question I've got though is there are certain applications and things like that that are dependent upon living at the same address for periods of time. How will that impact those?
The most serious one I've run into is people whose mortgage address and the mailing address don't line up, and the banks get upset about it. And when that happens, I send an official letter to both the bank and the person confirming what their address is, and the banks just make a change on the mortgage. So I'm willing to do that for anybody that runs into a problem. We also, in the past, first time we did this, I used the GIS address for the property owners to send the notice to, and did not think to send it to the actual physical address. So a lot of renters didn't get the notification that the address was changing. So we send it now to the property address and the property owner's address if it's different.
Board, any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.
I think that's it for, well, maybe not.
We're going to move into departmental reports, so you can stay right there and give the planning department a report.
And as per my usual comments, you have my written report in front of you. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
All right. Board, any questions for Mr. Blunt? All right. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
We'll now move to our code enforcement report. Chief File.
Good evening again.
Good evening.
I provided the customary code enforcement report for the month. One thing I did want to point out, if you notice on the bottom line of the front page, 22 liens were cleared out. So I just briefly spoke with Heather before this. I believe we were budgeted around or anticipating around $15,000 in revenue. So we received in about $22,500 in January. So in January, we received more than what we were anticipating revenue coming in for the entire budget year. So that is certainly good. And we're still working with numerous different landlords and homeowners to resolve some of the long-standing issues. And as I've mentioned previously, we do have that target list of 10 top priority properties. We begin working on the next one down the list. So hopefully we'll have a good resolution for that one in the next month or so. But if you have any questions about code enforcement, I will certainly try to answer those this evening.
Any questions for it? I just want to say it's great to see some of our former properties that were issues now in new ownership, and
definitely,
I know the old Bobby's Mobile Station. That's exciting to
definitely
see that making progress to becoming something new. So it's good. All right, police department report.
All right, I'll keep this one short this month, hopefully. I provided normal police department summary report, 2,370 events for the month, so they were slightly lower. You also notice that on the H-team report, the numbers look a little bit lower. So kind of as they keep our vehicles from being torn up when the weather is bad, all the extra units at work, I typically pull off the road and put on other duties. So, you know, we had 2 events where we had icy weather, snowy weather, so we had them pulled off the road. Combine that with a little bit of outside the agency training for the month of January. So the numbers are slightly lower, nothing to be concerned with, though. I do want to point out on the ACE team report, if you look at the back page for the drug totals, 61 grams of fentanyl and 163 grams of cocaine. That is a significant bust. So definitely wanted to point that out. The way that works, and most people don't understand how it works on purchasing a tax stamp. You actually can have illegal drugs and go purchase a tax stamp for them and pay the state the taxes on your drugs, much how tobacco is taxed or alcohol is taxed. Now, obviously, nobody that is an illegal drug dealer goes and purchases that tax stamp, but they can. And if they purchase the tax stamp, the Department of Revenue is not allowed to tell law enforcement about it. Weird law in the state of North Carolina, but nobody really does that other maybe collectors of the stamps. But with that being said, the tax on this amount of narcotics is just shy of $30,000. So as that is collected on, that money comes back, 75% of that money comes back to our agency to be able to use towards anti-drug related, whatever we would deem using it for anti-drug related. So we have assisted the Department of Revenue and already seizing some property related to that, which then will be sold by the state. And then eventually some of that will come back to our local area to support our anti-drug operations. So certainly a big bust for our ACE team, the biggest one they've got since they've been working together. So definitely congratulations to them, and I appreciate all their hard work. But I will try to answer any other questions you may have about the police department this month.
All right, thank you, Chief. Board, any questions?
I don't have a question, but I did see on your Facebook page and in the paper that you guys had a pretty significant successful case in a child abuse case. So I just want to say congratulations and thanks for the officers' hard work on that. That was wonderful to hear.
Definitely, I appreciate it. Yeah, those are always the hardest cases. That was kind of my bread and butter before I was chief. Probably one of the worst ones that we've seen. So 2 individuals under $500,000 bond apiece. So we're definitely glad we've got them off the streets.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Now is our fire department report. Chief Lanning.
Mayor and board, how are you this afternoon?
Good.
So you have my written report before you. I did want to go into a little detail because I feel like every month I'm like, hey, we're getting closer to putting our new engine in service. We're getting closer. It was on display at the Midwinter Chiefs Conference last week. A couple days prior to that, we received it back from Charlotte. We are back and forth now whether it's going to go back to Charlotte for some more warranty work or they're going to do the repairs here in town. It's nothing that we've done. At the end of the day, it comes back to there is a huge demand for fire apparatus, and they can't keep up with that demand. So the raw reality is that quality assurance has went down in areas, unfortunately, and our engine was not spared that. So we're back and forth. I now hope that realistically March, that truck will be put into service. I know last month I was absent, and Peter had went over a plan to surplus our engine. I've sent that out locally on the state level. I've got 0 correspondence back of anyone interested. So myself and Peter will be discussing that in the next coming weeks to try to figure out a game plan for that. Any additional questions from myself?
Board, any questions?
I was hoping your mini-me was going to stay for the meeting. And
oh, he's in Heather's office. Yeah, he's drawing.
That's more entertaining.
Yes, for sure. His sister is home with the flu, so he said he did not want to stay home. He wanted to get out. So
sparing no one.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
All right. Next is our Public Works report. Mr. Taylor.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the board.
Good evening.
Happy birthday, Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Our regular services are on schedule. The lead facts have stopped running for this part of the year. We ran it through the 3rd week of January. So, but I also know that there's a lot of leaf piles that's been put on Main Street recently. So we may be starting just a little bit early to get those picked up. Our spring mulch giveaway will be on April the 5th. Which will be the first Saturday in April. And same rules apply, 7 a.m. to 12. Delivery will be available for in-town citizens only. The final sanitation numbers, I finally got those together after, it takes about a month after I get the end of December to get them. So we were only 1.15 tons over where we were last year. So that's, we're seeing the end of the recouping from the COVID years, and now I think with the population growing, houses being sold, new developments, and now we're going to see a steady increase from now on, I do believe, and hopefully it stays at the 1.1 tons, but only time will tell. We're getting there. The NCDOT did reach out for us, so we've sent them an updated list for the crosswalks, for that to switch them over to ADA. They will get to those as their funding comes in. They have different funding buckets that they get, so it'll be on the list. We definitely made a note about the Harrison intersection. That is one of our top priorities, really, to get those steps out of there. So if they'll do even a cost share with us a little bit, something to get that changed to a ramp to where it's a little bit more accessible. But we did, Peter sent a message with it saying that that was one of our priorities, that we'd like to have that one done. The planters out front ran into a little issue with them. That's why they haven't been demolished yet, for the park out in front. They filed the driveway permit, but they did not file an encroachment agreement with the DOT. So we now have that in possession, and we're meeting with them tomorrow, right before our normal meeting, and then they'll let us know to make sure that all the plans and everything's good, so then they can move on with the entranceway. Okay. So that'll be coming very, very soon. The guys, I have to give them credit, they've worked hard. We've got all the bushes out across the street and remulched. Looks a lot better downtown. It'll be easier to maintain as well. So all the crepe myrtles have been trimmed. We're working in front of the old town hall. Most of the cherry trees have been removed. I got two that's a little iffy because they may land on the building, but we'll have to get the bucket truck to those. And then we'll be working on the southern end, probably between 10th Street and 8th Street on the railroad side, getting all that dead debris and stuff out of there as soon as we move on to there. 2nd Street, still waiting on asphalt. The warm days we had, the plant only made asphalt one day. So he had scheduled to come the next day, and the asphalt, they didn't make any asphalt. So I talked to Matt today looking at a different project. He said as soon as he can get asphalt, he will be here to pave 2nd Street. We're on the list. So the CCAP, just an update on it. I have talked to Chris, and we do have our second permit now. It is in hand. So Chris and Levi, which is the engineer, and myself are going to meet probably the end of this week, first next week, depending on weather, probably over on site, and then we're going to take a look and make sure that all our ducks are in a row to get a contractor, and we'll go from there. Just a correction at the end of my report: Valentine's Day is on the 14th, not the 15th. Just throwing that out there. Didn't want anybody to be a day late, might get in trouble. So,
your wife will appreciate it.
Yeah, she'll appreciate that little bit of humor, right? And just a note also, we do have the opportunity for an elected official seminar, which will be held in Gastonia on March the 18th, I believe.
That's right. Yep.
From 11:30 till 2. It's put on by our regional stormwater partnership that we're a member of, and it'll be kind of explaining some avenues for elected officials to look at stormwater repairs, funding, other issues. I know the mayor's knows that he was going to go, and I think Steve's registered to go as well. I'll be taking a truck, so if anyone else would like to join us, that would be perfectly fine. But just let us know so we can, if you can't. Did you send the registration?
Yes.
Okay, so they can register themselves. So very good. Very good. If not, or need help with it, let me know. We'll get you registered and get everybody going. So.
Wonderful.
If you have any other questions for me, I'll be happy to answer.
Board, any questions?
Or try to.
I got a question. I noticed DOT's had some trucks around lighting on the side of the roads with numbers and everything else on particular streets. Do you know anything about that?
No, I do not. Now, I do know the stakes, the white stakes along Main Street.
Now, this is
those will be for the wayfinding signage. That's what those stakes are for. I had to call and find out about them myself because I didn't know what they were there for.
Are they DOT trucks?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Any particular street?
Actually, one was right down there in front of the swimming pool, believe it or not. So, because I passed by there and
I must have been on the Whitehead side. if it's a DOT.
I didn't
That's
see
the
that.
only
I thought that was a state road. I mean, I know it's a state road, so I didn't know if they were thinking about doing some repaving or anything like that.
Very possible. I haven't heard of anything.
There was some discussion of repaving Whitehead.
Okay.
Okay.
In the near future is all about.
Okay.
Last time they talked about it 2 years ago.
Yeah, that could be 6 months or 5 years from now. Who knows? But,
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
I don't know, but I can try to find out. I can call the DOT and
that's
find
fine.
out.
That's fine. I'm just curious.
Okay.
What is the time limit now for these signs, wayward signs?
I do not know. To
Might
be
know.
honest, that's
Any day now.
any
I've
day.
heard that for 6 years.
Well, I know the entry signs are the ones they're going to do first.
Yes.
From what I understand. So, and they've all been flagged and really they've been located. There's been some locates done around that area. So it could be any time, really. I don't know exactly what their time frame was.
It'll just be a nice surprise.
It will be.
Mhm.
We'll all be surprised.
And then the others aren't going to be until like spring, summer, right? Spring, summer, somewhere down there when the actual will be in.
Okay. Board, any other questions? Thanks so much for your crews for all the work they're doing out here. It's looking great.
Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing it cleared out on that embankment.
A little
That'll
bit more.
be great.
Be great. Absolutely.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Our next report is our finance monthly report. Mrs. Can.
Good evening.
Good evening.
You have my finance report that I sent out. Just wanted to point out a couple things on the first page of the revenue. The Rowan County collection, which should be, where am I at? 10-3197-100, the ad valorem taxes. That is as of 6 months, and we're at 88%. I just wanted to point that out, that we're in a good spot with that. I looked at our February projections for the February disbursements for sales and use tax, and with that, it's not included in these numbers, but I plugged them in, and we're at about a 4% over last year, which is a good spot. Hopefully that trend will continue. Everything else that's on here is pretty much the same as last. There's really no changes. And I wanted to let you know that I sent out an audit RFP this week for this year, the FY25 audit and after. So, do you have any questions for me?
Board, any questions?
I got a question. When we first took over, we were talking about rotating audits by different companies every so often. Have we got to a point where we need to think about doing that?
That's
again?
what she was talking about with
Okay.
the RFP.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I didn't understand
Yeah,
that part.
so that's why we put the request for proposals out.
Okay.
So this upcoming audit for 2025.
Yeah.
And then subsequent. I don't know, what are we doing, a 3-year term?
Well, whenever we get that audit back, correct me if I'm wrong, but when we get the proposals back, we're basically signing the contract for that year, and they will send us in the proposal. They will give us an estimated cost for the 3 years. We're not bound to those 3 in that contract. We're just bound to the 1 in that proposal. But yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
For the most part, that's generally what you do. Is I think it's every 3 years you send it, 3 or 4 years you send those out. Yeah.
Okay. Board, any other questions? All right. Thank you very much. And next is our library report. Sword.
Good evening, Mayor and Board. So this past month, Librarian McCraw put on an event focusing on Martin Luther King Jr. for Martin Luther King Jr. Day, but that ended up being postponed due to the weather, so it was on the 28th rather than the 21st. And Dawn Mason, who is a writer, pastor's wife, and employee of Livingstone College, came and spoke about her journey with writing. And her daughter, Mia Mason, who is a student at Livingstone for opera, sang a couple of songs after her mom had finished reading some selections. And then this month, with it being Black History Month, the African American Studies class from North Rand High School will be coming and for a event with the topic being Shirley Caesar, who was a gospel singer, and there'll be a couple of local patrons who are going to sing some of her songs to, bring it more to life for everybody.
Great, thank you. Board, any questions on the library report? All right, thanks so much. We'll move to the town manager's report. Mr. Franzese.
Thank you very much, Mayor and members of the board. Just a few things I wanted to note. Next week, Kyle and I will be joining our state, our homes group in Chapel Hill for our first of 5 forums to take place over the next year and a half. And that's a really exciting initiative out of UNC Carolina Across 100. That is a pan university initiative that has tried to study different types of issues over the last few years, and this latest one is about affordable housing. And I believe there were 85 proposals submitted across the state, and the one from Rowan was one of 22 selected. And so we're going to be delving into this topic, and our local group has representation from Spencer as well as the city of Salisbury, the Salisbury Community Development Corporation, and then a few private businesses as well, F&M Bank and a local construction company, Fisher Construction. They're all part of our local team. So that is kicking off, and as we really don't have a whole lot of information yet. It's a process we're going to learn about as we go along, so we'll continue to report on that as it proceeds. Related to the park, we'll get our next update tomorrow, but a lot of things have been moving along, as you could see. Fundraising wise, things are in a pretty good position. We've had some very positive conversations in the last few weeks, and those are going to continue. That if that combined with a few significant grant applications come to fruition that we hope to hear about in the next month, we feel good about the path we're on to getting to our goal. So we have had a few additional folks, individuals, make some donations and pledges, but things are going well overall with the project, and it remains on the schedule of being about 10 weeks out. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that, and this was included in our most recent newsletter that got mailed, we're going to start a new series called Talk of the Town. And our first one is coming up in a few weeks on February 25th. That'd be 2 weeks from tonight, about 6:15. And we're going to delve into how the budget works and a little bit of an overview of our, what a town government does. And so those are going to continue kind of quarterly throughout the year, and also continue our neighborhood walk events intermingled with those. So we're getting all that information published this week about the opportunity and how to sign up. And we hope we'll get a good group to come out and learn a bit about local government budget.
That's great. Board, any questions on the manager's report? All right, thank you very much. We will now move to comments from the mayor and board. We will start with Mr. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight I want to talk a little bit about our town park out here. For the last month, I've been getting questions from people about our town park out there. as they can see the building going up and see the brick veneering going up and everything. People are very excited about what's happening, which is good. And I think when everything's done and completed, I think something that we can be real proud of. I know when we ran back in 2019, one of the main comments that some of the people had was we would like to see part of the old park that's reestablished out here in our parking lot, which hopefully come fruition will be here this late spring, early summers. So I'm excited about that. But I'm going to say the word however. Several years back, our town people were excited about another park that was being built. And it was being built in a historic area around a lot of beautiful homes, recognizing the our school heritage of the old Spencer School. And it was a tremendous park. Of course, we were talking about the library park. In the first 5 or 10 years, it was well accepted because we had Labor Day celebrations there, and we had trunk or treat there, and we had concerts and other things like that. So, and then all of a sudden, we don't have nothing. This park is underutilized, and I tend to think this is not going to happen to this park in front of us, because, you know, terminology is, I'm going to make sure it's active living coordinator, as you got it. Hopefully this person, he or she, will be able to program activities that will highlight our businesses out here, help them as far as that goes, and so that this will be a positive sign. I hope this person, when we hire this person, will also work on summer activities for our children in our community. And by that, I mean, I understand that, like our fire department had this fire safety class, I'd like to see something like that being done, where maybe we could use some of these spaces next to the building right here being used. I know a couple of years ago we had this art class for middle school people that did these famous portraits up here on the wall that everybody. But I thought that was really good, and I think things like that. I know kids don't like to get out and get into the hot weather and everything else, but I really hope that we can use this person to help do a lot more than just line up activities. Because in the last couple of years, I think that's something we haven't done as far as that goes. I don't think we've had the activities that we should have for our residents in town. So that's important. And another thing I hope this coordinator does will be responsible for some of the maintenance of the parks, because Joel and his staff is 2 people down. And they don't need any more responsibility. I don't think you need any more responsibility, do you? I hope this person will take on some of the responsibilities and help out as far as our maintenance, as far as the park goes, and see that he can help Joel out, work with Joel as far as that goes. And last but not least, I'd like to see the library park being used again. It's not being used, and it's a shame. I mean, I see a few people walking their dogs, and I see a few kids playing football, and that's it. And that's, you know, that was supposed to be a pride and joy of our community, and I'd like to see it being used, and hopefully we can use all these parks in a useful manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Miller. Ms. Moody.
I just wanted to wish everyone a very happy Black History Month, and to say it was very nice to see so many faces here tonight. That was really nice. So thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That was wonderful. I'm going to keep it short.
All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
And I'll keep it short too. I'm just real pleased with where we are. I'm real excited about this Parks and Recreation Committee and people that we're going to be employing there. I think it's needed. I'm very proud of all the parks we have in Spencer. And I think sometimes citizens ask me, how many parks do we have? And when I start naming them, I thought, wow, I mean, there's so many for a town this size. So we really do need to keep utilizing them. And I remember lots of things have been done at the library park also. So hopefully we can get that back and do something for all the citizens, all ages, and just get them all involved and having some fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'll be quick as well. Just a few reminders. Peter mentioned the Talk of the Town event on February the 25th. I'd also like to make sure we remember at our pre-agenda meeting on the 6th, I think we're planning for a community input session that evening as well. And then on March the 7th, the following day, will be our strategic planning session for the town. And of course, members of the public that want to attend that are welcome to do so. It is an open meeting, but we'll be tackling a variety of topics and planning for the upcoming year and future years, and looking at our strategic plan and the progress we're making towards that. So just several opportunities for folks to get involved and come out and provide input on what they want to see in the future of the town. So with that, I have reached the end of my comments. So is there any need to go into executive session this evening? If not, is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Moody, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mayor Pro Tem. All in favor? All right, all opposed? We stand adjourned. Thank you all.